Well, good morning. That chicken's not looking too good. And it seems to be a trend around here today since the kids are just getting over pretty nasty cold and Melissa has it. So, bit of extra chores for me today, but no big deal. Just a little bit earlier and a little bit more chaos, especially because I was looking at the calendar while laying in bed when I was getting up, and I gotta pick up 30 more chicks tomorrow. So I gotta get that ready tonight also. So it's gonna be a bit crazy around here in the next few days. But at least everyone else seems to be decently healthy. The girls are laying a ton of eggs. We didn't pick eggs up yesterday, so I mean that's from a day and a half, 2 days. So everything else seems to be going pretty well. If you haven't seen some of our older videos, that is one of the chicks from last year that one of our Delawares actually laid with our Easter egger rooster that we did have. Out of all the chickens, she is extremely skittish, which I'm not sure why. We handled her just as much as the other ones when they were babies, so. And last but not least, we will check on our goats that we probably haven't shown you guys in a long time, but they've just been doing goat things. What are you doing? So showing all of our animals that we haven't shown you guys in a while, and having baby chickens and everything else with it being springtime, gonna go over what we've done for our kind of spring cleaning / spring chores. For starters, on this end of the property, we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have our 4 apple trees and 3 pear trees, which they got fertilizer, and I will go over how we kind of keep track of all this later on at the end of the video. But they get their spring fertilizer. We use the fruit tree stakes, so each plant gets one of those. 2 of the trees had to be propped up with rope because they were leaning, so that was all fixed. All these fruit trees have tons and tons of buds on them and already have fruit growing on them. Like this pear tree, every single branch has probably about 20 to 30 pears growing. Moving over to our compost, since it is nice out now and we're able to constantly flip it, we'll be stirring that every other day about and watering if needed. But with as much rain as we've been getting, we have not needed to water anything, which has been super helpful. So we kind of get some leftover compost that is a mix of goat and chickens. Here we had our goat compost that we actually took about half and put it into our garden. If you did not see our last video where we expanded our garden, you can go up above, about right there, and I'll have a link for that. And then this is our chicken coop compost that we cleaned out from this year, where we do the deep litter method throughout the winter for our chickens so they can actually stay warm and it keeps the heat inside the coop. So we keep those separate because the goat can be used right away, and it's mostly hay and table scraps, vegetables, all that type of stuff. The chicken compost has to sit for about a year and turn it down so it breaks down a bit more because it's too high in nitrogen. I gotta double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's due to the nitrogen content. Otherwise it'll just burn everything out into the garden, like if you put too much fertilizer from the store on your grass, where it burns a big patch into it. So the girls, nothing's new with them. We're gonna breed them this year finally. They're gonna be 3 already, and we just haven't had the time with kids, babies, all that cool stuff. We just moved them about the property. We saw our meat birds. Been doing those every year. We get about 90 a year, so this is our first 30. We've only lost 1 when they were a chick, and then we actually have 3 turkeys that we're gonna be growing for ourselves, and then later during the more holiday months we'll have about 10 more to go. Saw the chickens. I don't know where they went. They're in the road. That's cool. Their coop, predator proof this coop in one of our videos, and it wasn't snowproof. So all right here, the snow basically collected and the whole entire thing collapsed. So that's awesome. I got to replace that or build something brand new this fall. Same goes for our carport that we used for a makeshift barn. The whole entire tarp just absolutely ripped apart. So it's just problems on problems, but that's how it goes. Baked eggshells. The baked eggshells are very, very good calcium. You can just reuse the eggs that they lay and they'll eat them. And basically, if their eggs are really, really soft and easy to crack, that means that they probably need a calcium supplement. Some people do different larvae and bugs like that, but you can literally just take your shells, crush them up a little bit, put them on a pan, bake them, and then feed them back to them, and they'll go to town on them. Also, with the springtime, we like to grow half of our property really, really long. For other wild animals, like we get a bunch of rabbits out here that like to have their babies. Also, it's good for our goats. We'll move them around, and it's free feed along with the meat birds. So this will all stay long, on and off throughout the year. The last few things that we kind of do for springtime, besides kind of moving stuff outside that we put away already, is the greenhouse. So Melissa kind of went over her plants that she has in there already, but that's just one thing that we take into consideration for spring is planting. One of the big things that you have to take into consideration when you're figuring out the plants that you're going to be planting is your zone that you're in, the temperatures that are outside, along with your soil temperature, because that is obviously going to make or break of when you can plant, when you're going to harvest, and all that good stuff. Now that the morning chores are done, I can kind of sit down and go over how we do our daily planning, our seasonal planning, and how that comes together for our whole entire year. So we like to use an application or website called Notion, which we have no affiliate with. I actually found it through other YouTubers on how to kind of keep stuff more organized and more planned, especially when you have multiple things going on or multiple businesses. So you can use this for daily life, for business, for farming, literally anything you can think of. It's an awesome application that's kind of a mix between like Excel and Word, but it's way more customizable, along with colors, pictures, icons, all that cool stuff, and different tables, and it's all integrated. It's all free, which is really, really cool. Like I said, no affiliation. It's just a matter of this is what we use, because I mean, I have our regular house planner for chores. We have the Ridgestead planner on here. We have Ridgestead YouTube. I have my YouTube. I have a regular weekly planner. Going back to the Ridgestead planner, we have it like a to-do list. We have it all sectioned off from a garden, goats, egg layers, greenhouse, meat birds, maple syrup, different links you can put in here for all the animals. For example, if I go to egg layers, I have all their care information in here, how old they are, feed tracker. If you sell eggs or meat birds, you can have how many, for what price, when you sold, and keep track of all that awesome stuff. Going to the garden, I'll probably plan weekly. So go around. You can set up locations in here also. So we have apple trees and pear trees. We have 3 of each. Technically, I thought we had 7, but each one I go into and looked up what type of tree it is, how many we have. So we have 3 apple trees. Harvest date, July through October. So we kind of keep an eye out for that, of when the apples actually need to be picking. Location, they're by the fruit trees. Watering, extremely important for obviously your garden and all your other plants that you harvest stuff off of. So it is 1 inch of water per week, and that goes for all of our fruit trees and bushes. So we have apple trees, pears trees, white mulberry tree, and blueberries. Then in each one we have a breakdown of spring, summer, and fall. So springtime, we'll fertilize early for the apple trees. Summertime, it's 1 inch of water a week, at least during the growing season, so up until July and October. After that, we'll probably still try to do each week about inch of water, depending on how everything's going. And then fall time is prune after you fruit pick. So once we're done picking those apples, we will be able to go in there and prune it up and clean it all up, because these trees are growing super fast with us pruning last year and fertilizing. But what's important about this is pruning and everything is all different from all different plants. So if you went into the pear trees, it's prune after the last frost. So you can do that springtime, where the apples, you're doing it in the fall. So this is why I think this app, or any other type of notes, even if you write this all down, is extremely helpful of keeping stuff organized. Because if you can just go into your spring tab, you can see all the stuff that you need to do, and then you can do your weekly tab and add that to your chores, instead of going, oh, I forgot to do this, oh, how do you do that, oh, when should I be doing this, and constantly looking online, when you can have it on your phone still, or any other device, be able to keep track with everything, and you can do a lot more, a lot faster. So that's my big recommendation for keeping track of your homestead, is to figure out everything that you have to take care of, then go by weekly, go by seasonally, or even go by daily if you really have to, depending on what it is. Obviously, like, your animals need fresh water and food every single day, but then that's something else that you can keep track of if there's multiple people in the household. So that's gonna be it for today's video. Short and sweet, but that's what can happen when you have everything organized. Like I said, from paper to a dry erase board on the wall to on your computer or phone, that if you have everything organized, that you can get a lot more done with the little time that you do have. Especially that I know if you have a homestead or family, that there's usually more animals and more plants, or at least for Melissa's sake, that's how it is here. And that's why I have 2 new baby chicks in the garage that are our egg layers. We will show you those on the next video. So go down below, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.